Good morning. Hope you had your coffee. We're going to talk about skill belts for analytics proficiency. Think of this as a fun ride to understand Tableau better and use Tableau to advance your skills better. I'm Andy Vadul, but before I introduce myself, I'd like to introduce my peer, Jeff L. Corey. Jeff is with UserReady. He's a program manager, and before joining UserReady, Jeff was with Tableau for 4 years, where he ran the professional services side of things. That means he used to interact with customers like you, make sure you get the best of Tableau as far as proficiency is concerned. So he's gone through this film that we are about to show multiple times, and he's practiced it multiple times as well, right? Jeff?
Thank you, Andy. And my co-presenter today is Andy Vadul. Andy is our practice delivery lead at UserReady, as well as the Chief Technology Officer. And Andy wears many, many hats within UserReady, but he just likes to consider himself the techie guy. He is a legacy guy, if you will, when it comes to Tableau, using it since version 7, and he is both desktop and server certified.
Yep.
And Andy, he works with some of our largest customers, helping them to exceed with Tableau.
Yeah. So let's go through what we are trying to show you. Before I get started on the agenda and tell you what we're going to cover, how many of you here sat through a Tableau class for 3 days where the teacher was teaching you and you actually learned Tableau? Quick show of hands. Probably 10-15% of the audience. The rest of you, you picked up Tableau like me. You downloaded Tableau at some point in time because somebody asked you to, or you did it yourself. You went and watched a set of videos, played around with it, right? Made a whole set of mistakes, learned from it as you went along, all in the effort of solving something that you wanted to solve. It was either given to you saying, you solve this, or you wanted to do it yourself. Yes? How many of you have done that? Just a quick show of hands. That's the majority of the audience, right? I consider all of you as analysts, not just you creating dashboards every day, but if you've touched Tableau, you've been playing around with it, you learned it on your own, I'd call you an analyst. Now, that is one group that we are going to talk about today. After you learn Tableau, how do you make sure your skills are up to speed? And other than attending the Tableau conference, listening to all the great things, and you're going, that version, we don't have it inside our organization. When are we going to get that? How many of you say that? Yeah? Or you say, hey, yes, I'm going to go back and try it. Well, one of two buckets. Right? That's the analyst group. So how many of you look at other people's dashboards, comment on them, make sure they look better? Anybody? See, you guys are who we call as the program or the project manager roles. Although there's no role inside your organization, you guys are helping other dashboards be better. We're going to talk about how Skill Belt helps other people, such as you, to become better at your job. And the last group are site administrators. Any site administrators in the room? A couple of you guys, right? You are the gatekeepers. You're making sure that your Tableau dashboards for your site work as fast as possible, and you don't spill over to somebody else's site and take down their site. How many system administrators in the room? Please pat your backs, because you guys have the hardest job in the room. I'll tell you why. Right? When you put all these bad dashboards up, and they're just running crazy, and people call you up and say, hey, my dashboard is slow. It used to run very well on my desktop. What do you say? You're like, well, I see this other dashboard, but I can't touch that because they say they want that data in that specific crosstab. We are here to show you the other side of the story, what site administrators and project leads and all of us analysts can do to help make all our lives better, and do it while having fun. That is Skill Belt for you. So what we are going to do is talk about analytics proficiency, which will help all of us, right? How that relates to Blueprint. How many of you know Blueprint? Just a quick show of hands, a couple of them. Okay, we'll go into that in detail, right? How do you measure whether you're actually improving in the way you are creating dashboards? You created the dashboard 2 years ago. If you're given the same data set, would you do the same exact thing now, knowing what you know now? How do you know you're actually being better? Right? And for analysts, program leads or project leads, and site administrators, what do you have to watch out for so that you don't become that bad neighbor to somebody else bringing their dashboards down? That's what we are going to cover in this session. Feel free to stop us at any point of time. If you have a question, please raise your hand. We will stop in different periods of time and ask if you have any questions. Would that be okay? Yes? Okay, so let's go through this. The big picture. How many of you have seen this today? Yes? Now, if I ask you to explain what blueprint is, you're going to say, hey, there are 3 main lines, right? And there are multiple subway stops, is what we call them. The top line is the agilities for the server admins in the room. The 2 guys who raised their hands up, right? It's all about server, keeping the lights out, make sure that works fine. This talk is not about that. This talk is about how do you make sure you're proficient? How do you make sure you become more proficient as you go along? That's the primary focus. And the secondary focus is how do you know you get other people to actually become more proficient as you go along? That's the secondary focus. Right? This is what we are going to cover, and this is how this relates to blueprint in general. So far, so good? Right? So let's go through the proficiency areas as we call them. Right? If you have created a dashboard and you are an analyst, you need to know how to use Tableau, of course. Right? Yes, it's a drag and drop tool. Yes, you can write calculations, but there are so many ways you can do things better. You need to know what's the best way to do it in the version that you have. That is Tableau proficiency, baseline. Once you create that dashboard and you show it to your end users and they say they like it or they don't like it, you start making those changes. In the end, you say, yes, this is good enough. How do you make sure it is as screaming fast as possible? Screaming fast as in light, so it doesn't disturb somebody else. That is what we call making sure it's benchmarked. Last but not the least, does it tell a story? And is that story understandable? So those are the 3 things all of us analysts do, right? But if you're looking at somebody else's dashboards as a project leader, what are you looking at? You're not looking at creating the dashboard because the dashboard's already created for you. You're looking at, does this make sense in that storyline that you want to talk about? Right? Does it do benchmarking and is it as fast as possible? The last but not the least, is it permission to people who need to see it? In other words, somebody who doesn't have access should not be able to see it. That's all you're bothered about, right? When you're looking at somebody else's dashboards, right? And if you're site administrators, you don't care about the storyline, do you? Somebody else has already taken care of that. You're looking at benchmarking. Is it good? Second is site administration. Who's accessing what dashboards and how many dashboards are there? Do I have 100 dashboards of which 10 are being used so I can retire the other 90? So the skill set reduces as you go, but the importance increases as you go for the entire infrastructure. What we are talking about is helping each one of these groups, and if you belong to more than one group, helping you get to what you need to do to actually become proficient. That's the goal of this entire series that we're going to talk about, right? So before we go into the demo and how Skill Belt is, Skill Belt was actually introduced by Michael Holcomb in TC 18, the previous year. So they unveiled a way of actually looking at how you do continuous learning. So if you go back to the TC 18 site, you'll be able to see that entire video. We're not going to cover that. What we did was take what they had given us in terms of workbooks and actually build it for multiple roles. Made it better, made it more relevant, updated the content, and built it for the other roles that we explained. Right? This is what we are going to show in the demo. Right? Feel free to stop us at any point of time. But before we jump into the demo, anybody have any questions on what this whole talk is about, what we are going to cover? Does this make sense? Yes? Okay. That's for
Great.
sure. Yep.
Thank you, Andy. So, as Andy mentioned, what we'll be talking about today is our Skill Belt application. And what it is a fun and engaging platform in which organizations of all sizes can leverage the skill building capabilities for all the different types of Tableau users within their organizations. It contains over 1,500 hours of content that has been curated from reliable public sources. And we vetted it out just to ensure that there's relevancy for the different roles and for your skill building path. And what we've done is applied questions and answers to the different modules that are within, enabling individuals to prove out their comprehension, as well as sort of tier up their skill levels as they progress along the way. The modules, they consist of different types of formats. So there's hands-on activities, there's white papers, there's blog posts, different other content formats sort of that mix things up. And when we jump in here in a second, you'll see that they're of different durations. So one of the things that I like about it is, a lot of us are busy, don't have a lot of time, so it clearly indicates there, hey, this is going to be a 20-minute activity, this will be a 60-minute, so it makes it really easy to sort of progress and see your learning move forward. So what I'm going to do is just jump over. So I think we should be good. And what we'll see here is we have started here at what we call our summary page. And this is unique for me. So this is my profile here at User Ready. If you will, this is an example of, let's say, our organization and how we implement Skill Belt. So I'm a program manager. I am part of the analytics management team and within the data analytics department. And that'll be important because we'll look at that and how that impacts the community, if you will, when we get towards the end. I'm ranked number 2 within my organization. I've accumulated 3,435 points. And sort of the gamification aspect of it builds around, in this case, a Star Wars theme. Many of, I think a lot of the analytics themes that jump on Star Wars, so we've done that as well here, but it's actually very easily customizable to whatever the preference is of the organization.
You want Pokemon different levels? We could do that for you. But Star Wars is what we started with, right? Jedi's are good, okay.
So if we look at the skill belt in my summary, I'm considered a youngling. I'm working towards that, getting that completed. I'm at 21%. So I haven't earned a level yet, but there's 6 there. Hopefully when I've done all my work, I'll be a Grand Master and be able to make a higher contribution to the organization. I did earn a merit badge, which is sort of functional learning, which is around Data Prep Guru. So I've earned some points, 240 towards that, and there's 3 other badges that I'm working towards as well. And then awards, we'll talk about that towards the end because awards are kind of special, but I've gotten 4 awards here out of a possible 6 to really build my point total up pretty high. So I'm going to jump right in to the Skill Belts application itself. So you'll see here that my progress is represented as well. And there are 3 modules that I'm going to take in order to, if you will, progress to the next level. And I've completed 1 already. So what we're going to do is we'll hop into number 2. It's pretty quick. It's a 40-minute exercise. We obviously won't spend 40 minutes right now on that, but I'll show you sort of how it looks. So this one happens to be on connecting to data. It's basically a step-by-step process. For the first step, I'm referencing a Tableau hosted best practice on connecting to data. And I apologize, I rebooted my computer, so I'm no longer signed in, but I think you get the idea here is what I'll do through this process is I'm just going to go through the different stages here, completing the exercises, et cetera, that have already been defined out. And what's good about that is it's relevant and it's also vetted. So we understand that this is not something that is potentially bad information, and we also know that it's leverageable, right? So why recreate something if you don't need to? So assuming that I've gone through all this, I'll hop back over into the module here. I'm going to go over to step 2 by clicking on Next. I'm going to acknowledge that I've completed the task. I'll hit Next. And now is where I'm going to be asked a series of questions to ensure that I comprehend the content that I've gone through. So I'll just read through a couple of them and then I'll sort of answer them so we don't have to go through the whole process here. But from which of the following places can a new data source not be added in Tableau? So I'll look here, I believe, if I'm not mistaken.
Any answers? Any answers in the audience? Before we actually click the wrong one? Anyone? Bueller?
Well, I'll go ahead. I'm going to answer it. I believe that it happens to be A.
Is that right?
I'm going to hit Next.
Somebody said yeah. Okay.
We'll do the next question. Which of the following must the user define in order to create a join in Tableau? Check all that apply.
A and C?
A and C.
Let's take A and C, yeah.
I believe, could be mistaken, that it's
Let's go
actually
take a look.
just A. So,
A dimensional field? You're not linking. Yes.
So I'll move forward. I'm gonna hit Next on that. And then what I'm gonna do, let me just go through here. I'm going to just answer
This is a good question. Anybody say yes to this one? Is it a good idea? Okay, yes.
Yes, it is a good idea.
It's possible.
I believe the answer is no.
Okay.
But we'll see.
We'll see. We'll see.
Okay. And then I guess this is one of the last questions here. Why would you switch to an extract as opposed to a live connection? So let's see.
A and C, A and B. Row level security mode, sir? Okay.
So I think I heard A, I think I heard C, and D. Let's give that a try.
Yeah, you can do that too.
Flicker. Okay, so I'm going to hit Next.
Cross your fingers. Let's see.
Cross our fingers. Let me submit that. So I think we got it right. So what we do is we give the participants who got the answers right, you get a congratulations emoji that comes up. You'll see that if you recall, if I may, I had 35 points for Skill Belt when we started. I increased an additional 40 points. Now I have 75. I haven't changed my rank. I'm still just number 2. But if we look here, it says I have one more lesson. So what my next lesson is, if I go here, is publish a viz to a Tableau server. So what it does is it sort of segments in different pockets the stages as make my way to being a grand master. So let me hop over to merit badges, which what you'll see here in merit badges is it's very much similar to the Skill Belt, which is there's a module. You complete the content that's within, you'll answer some questions, and then you'll hopefully successfully complete that, you'll finish it, and work your way down. The only difference here is you actually have to complete all of the modules in order to get that badge. So I did receive a badge for Data Prep Guru. So let's just click here at Finance Expert, for example, and see what we have within. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm just going to click on the first one, which is Deep Insights. For lack of, let's say, too much time, I'm not going to go in and open this. We'll just assume that I did. So I'll click Next. I'll acknowledge that I've completed this. I'll hit Next. But what I'm going to do is, in this case, I'm going to answer wrong, right? So I'm going to say for the answer for this one, which query language was used in conjunction with Tableau to automate, generate dynamic reports. I'm going to say D is the answer. Okay. I'm going to click on Next. In what ways does natural language generation help empower analysts? So again, I'll just hit B, facilitates quicker decision making. So I'll hit Next. I'm almost there. I'll hit Submit, see if my answers are correct. Obviously, it's not. So I could have done better. So what I have the ability to do is if I click here, I can open up. I can see which answers I got wrong. It'll also tell you which answers you got right. I also have the ability, which is very important, to try again. So I can try this again. Again, we'll follow the same steps. This time So we'll get this right, but you get the idea. Yep. Right? If you make a mistake and you fail a certain step, you go back and retake it until you get it right. Right? In the process, you learn, and you can set the questions up, and we're going to get to that in a bit. So if you think something is not relevant, you get to change it. If the next version of Tableau has what we are calling as extracts and live connections together in one data connection, we can make that change now. It allows you to customize the whole thing yourself and train your team the way you need it to be. Right. Great. Yep. So as we're talking so far, we're really talking about an individual. We're talking about that person building upon their skills. Yep. Now, as we transition, what we're going to be talking about is really aspects of building a community and getting people to work together. So the first area we'll look at is awards. So what awards does is it allows an organization to place value on certain aspects that they find important. So in this case, I've earned a number of awards for being what we call a Tableau nurse, medic, doctor. And what that means is that I've gone ahead, I've taken a lot of my time to help others with the skills that I have within Tableau. So that means that I've led a couple Tableau doctor sessions. I may have done some individual consulting or skill building with individuals and made a contribution to the organization. And all that now gets recognized as well as tracked. So everyone has the ability to sort of see that. And then beyond helping others, right, what are you doing to make a significant contribution to your organization using Tableau? So in this case, I became what we're calling a Tableau teller. I use my skills in Tableau.
Wait a minute. And how much did you save for your organization?
So I use my skills in Tableau to save our organization $250,000 using Tableau.
So, question for you guys. You build dashboards. How do you know how much of revenue is either saved or actually generated in your organization? How do you quantify that? Right? The answer is there are Tableau people who can come in and help you do that. Paul Demopoulos of the Tableau organization is a value consultant. He will listen to you for half an hour and say, based on this dashboard, based on what you've done in the process, you will end up saving your organization this much. And those are standard metrics that are across the industry. So based on that, this dashboard or a set of dashboards that Jeff has built has saved the organization $250,000. So we can help you get those statistics together. And you can always reach out to your Tableau rep and they'll be able to bring people together. Right? This is a way of quantifying what you've saved or what you've generated to the organization. Right?
Perfect. And then finally, what we're going to look at here is the leaderboard. And really what this does is it takes the aspect of community and brings it together by connecting people within organizations that are in different localities, they're in different departments, different roles, etc. Initially, what you'll see here is an enterprise view. So you'll see all the individuals that are listed here. The top 3 are ranked. I have the ability to go in, for example, and take a look and see if I can find one of my coworkers. This happens to be saved. I can search, find my coworker Samara, see that she's ranked number 9. She has 275 points. This might be an opportunity for me perhaps to coach her, or vice versa. Maybe she's ahead of me and there's an opportunity to see
If this was me, if somebody else is ahead of me, that's when I start learning. That's me.
Yep.
Truly, right? I don't like to be second. I'd rather learn a little bit more and get that much ahead. That's what drives me. Right? Not the fact that I get these badges, that's okay. But somebody else ahead of me, nah, right?
Yep.
Go ahead.
So the other aspect that I think is very important is the filtering capabilities here. So we are looking, if you will, at an enterprise level, but you have the ability to filter on things like I mentioned, location, department, user role. I like user role because what ultimately happens is within organizations, there's people that are kind of doing the same job, right? Perhaps have the exact same skill level, right? They don't even know that one another exists, right? This is an opportunity. So for example, we'll take the user role. I want to know who my counterparts are, if you will. I know that I'm a manager of analytics. I'll filter on there, and I can see my colleague Anirban, who's in the back of the room, is up here. He's obviously ahead of myself. I have my other colleague Lakshmi, as well as Rajesh within our department. As you can imagine, user ready, we're not a huge enterprise, but I think a lot of organizations are fairly large and really could fill this up pretty quick. So question is, where does Skill Belt lie? Well, Skill Belt lies within what we're referring to as our user-ready community center. I'm not going to go through all this, but I will say that we worked on our community center alongside a lot of our colleagues at Tableau within Tableau Customer Success to align the different areas to the Tableau blueprint subway stops. So the idea here is how am I going to help build the proficiency of both myself as well as my peers and perhaps some of the people that I'm responsible for, as well as how do I build the communication between everyone. So I think everyone understands and everybody deals with the hundreds and hundreds of emails that we all get, and half of them probably get forgotten. Yeah. The opportunity here is to really build the ability to share information, have a one-stop shop, a place people could go that they know that things exist, but they're not sure, you know, when it was posted, they can easily find it. A lot of this is searchable. We're only going to look at one area right now. This happens to be my favorite, which is what we're calling the Analytics Showcase, which is a place that we have posted many Tableau dashboards that represent our best practices in the organizations of our customers. The idea here is it's a great starting place for individuals to find the types of analytics, whether that be a complete workbook or perhaps just a visualization, that they can easily interact with. So if I click on, let's say, wealth management, what you're going to see here is a fully functioning dashboard.
This is where you showcase your best dashboards. Things that you want your team to actually look at.
Well, we didn't get there yet, but we're almost there, Andy. So again, these are the ones we posted, but you can interact with them. And just like with Tableau, you have the ability to download. So you can download the workbook, you can encourage others to reverse engineer, etc. This is, as Andy mentioned, it's also a great place for your organization to post the analytics best practices dashboards that have been developed internally. And then one of the things that I like that we added, and this is something we got from some customer feedback, which is a section for style guide. So in a lot of organizations, there are best practices just around how things should look, right? Where to put the logo, how to put the logo, What's the, I'm just trying to come up with an example. Like BP always comes to my mind because they have like this distinct yellow and green color scheme in their logo. So people, one, you want to try to get it right, but get it exactly right. And you can easily put it somewhere with some instructions, and it saves a lot of people a lot of time, aggravation, and hopefully it is the opportunity for individuals across the analytics community to represent the stories in the same way.
Yep.
Right? So there's a consistent message, a consistent way to consume those.
So you can put
messages.
your templates as well. Put it all together, build it into a dashboard, put it as a template, say, guys, you can download this. It's a jump start, right?
I think we're ready to switch back.
Oh yeah. Before we switch back and start finishing the rest of the pieces, any questions so far on what you've seen? Yes, please. Yep.
Thank you for your presentation. Everything looks great. It seems to be a fun learning environment for sure. But with Salesforce's acquisition of Tableau, are you concerned that their Trailblazer is going to kind of take away from this and convert to being a Tableau secretary?
That's a fantastic question. So let me repeat that question for the rest of the audience who couldn't hear. Right? With Salesforce's acquisition of Tableau, will Trailblazer actually take over what this is doing? Our answer is it complements each other. Right? There are cases where you have to take this and build it within your organization. You can't put it outside. In such cases, you'll be able to use the skill belts to actually augment it. It's not just Tableau. You can extend this to, let's say, any other tool you want of choice. Let's say you want to use Python programs. You want to use Alteryx. You want to use Tableau Prep. You can build skill sets around that. And that's what this gives you as a platform. Trailblazer has its path, and we know that's fantastic. This will complement that and bring it for people to consume within the community. Does that make sense? Yep.
Yeah, I didn't realize you utilize this for stuff other than Tableau.
Yes. Yep. Please.
Thanks for a great presentation. I think it's a fantastic tool. But this in my mind solves for the technological aspect of it. But in general, when people have to be, let's say, trained and communities have to be built, there has to be a component of cultural change, right?
Yes.
So in this case, let's say there are pointer system, but is that, in many of the clients that you might have worked with, have you ever linked it to the review system of people?
Yes. So we've seen, so this covers it partly. Let me just rephrase the question again, right? This covers the technological aspect. But how are you going to change people? How are you going to change culture? Is there a way you can link that added part of the review, let's say, right? The stick method. You do this, otherwise your review will not get passed. Something like that. Can you do that? Answer is yes, but most people will not, actually get enthused because you have a review checklist. They will do it, but they will never learn. The idea is for self-service, for you to go in and learn on your own and have fun doing it. There's a carrot, there's a stick. You can use a stick, no problem. But this is more of the carrot method. Can you convert it to a stick? Definitely. But you don't want to do that is what we are thinking. Yeah.
Do carrots really work across the board? Do carrots work that well? And what are the best practices if you may have to suggest and share with us?
If you use it the right way, carrots work. Right? Each organization is different. Right? Some organizations, they work all the time. Some you just have to put that as part of the review and say, have you done this? And then they'll do it. Just depends on the organization. Depending on culture, for your second part of the question, there is a follow-up session tomorrow where we've actually used parts of this to influence culture. I'm going to show that in the end of the session. You're welcome to join us there. So we'll show you how this has been used and adapted to actually change culture. Right? Yeah.
So you said that the skill belt can be used for other things like Alteryx.
Yeah.
But is the skill belt is already built for Tableau, so the company comes in, uses this, already has that structure. Somebody wants to use it for something like Alteryx as well. Is that already built, or is that something that would need to be continued to be built out?
Okay, great question. So yes, you guys have built this for Tableau, but let's say you go to Alteryx. Do we have to build this for Alteryx again, or is it already built out? So the answer is yes and no. Right? This is a template. We will show you the administration side if you have a little bit of time later, right? Where all you have to do is put it in an Excel sheet with a set of questions and a set of answers. Feed that in, and that becomes the new set of answers that you need for the Alteryx side. 80% of the work is done, but how do you find the questions? How do you phrase the questions? What answers are right? You will still have to build for the new tool that you want to bring inside. Does that make sense? It's an ongoing process. You have to keep perennially tuning that, right? Does that make sense? Yes, please.
Do you feel like this would be beneficial for a team that is only like 5 people?
Yes, right? See, if you're a team of 5 people and you're co-located and you're sitting right behind each other, right, this may or may not work, right? But if you're distributed and you don't really know where you guys are and what level of skill set each one of us is, this would be a way where you can bring all those people together. Even if you're sitting next to each other, the level of depth and the skill set that each person understands each of these topics could be different. And this is a way of harmonizing all that, saying, this is important, make sure you can do that. Right? We've even used that internally to actually prep our team for certifications. So we make sure those questions are aligned to the certification. So after they've done this, we know that they're at least ready to take the certification. Yes, please.
Yeah, I'm just curious what your experience is like implementing this in, say, a company that has been working with Tableau for years, has analysts, developers, and users, compared to rolling this out as you're rolling out Tableau.
Yes.
In the organization, a small organization. What's been the differences with your experience there?
That's a great question. So rather than rolling it out as you roll out Tableau, have you tried to roll this out in an existing company that already has Tableau? We've done that. In fact, we are actually doing it as part of a rollout for another organization. This was an upgrade to the next version of Tableau. What we're doing is we're taking program managers, and whoever is a program manager, we're telling them, you got to take this skill belt through. Okay. For site administrators, guys, we know you know your stuff, but I think you should run through this. And what we're doing is we're putting quarterly meetings together where we run through this process. It's a way of recertifying people. So we're going from the site administrators all the way to the analysts and bring them all the way down. Does that make sense? You can roll it either, at the get-go, which is ideal, or like all of you have Tableau already, bring it in and make sure your analysts are up to speed, program managers are up to speed, site administrators are up to speed. That will help in the long run. Make sense? Okay.
Do you have the ability to ingest solution books as in they've applied what you train them on? Because I run into it right now that they run them all through all the Tableau courses.
Yep.
But how do I prove that they are actually retaining what they're learning instead of just check the box and move on?
Yes. So that's a great question. So how do you know after they've done all the training, they just check the box and move on, but they don't actually have learned something what you actually want them to learn, or they're actually implementing? This is where the community side actually kicks in. Right? So Jeff showed you, hey, I'm a Tableau doctor because I helped somebody else bring through this. So this allows you to gather points. After a certain level, it's not about what you know, it's about what you help others know. Right? That's where they continue to earn points. It's all about the gaming system. It's all about earning more points. After some time, you've done with your start. Yep.
You guys mentioned that this is essentially pre-packaged for Tableau. What are the skill belts based on? Is it anchored around Tableau, like level 1, 2, 3 trainings, or was there a philosophy that graded?
So there is. So as I mentioned, I think that when we developed this, and Andy mentioned as well, we did it in coordination with the Tableau customer success team. And one of the reasons why it's important to them is that there's a lot of Tableau users out there right now. And one of the, I guess, prohibiting factors, if you will, is the cost of curriculum instructor-led training. So the way that we have designed this, if we look back at the skill belts, is once you go through this, you have the ability with, let's say, maybe 2-3 months experience to easily take and pass the specialist exam. Is it going to get you to the level of being the rock star? Probably not. But what's important about the application is it will measure that. It helps to measure your commitment and your abilities within Tableau, but it also allows an organization to, if you will, vet out who's serious about analytics with Tableau. I'm sure you all work with a lot of individuals that raised their hand and said, I want Tableau because I'm using Excel. And probably tried it out and probably just started using Excel again, right? So this is just an opportunity for an organization to say, let's make sure people are serious about Tableau, and then easily identify those that perhaps they want to send to more advanced training.
Is there a Tableau integration? So like the merit badge for publishing, it's not like voluntarily entered that I publish, but it can be scraped so we can see this is our actual top publisher.
It can be done, right? The way we have set the skill belt is it's what you call as the honor system. But you can easily make that the stick and say, look, I'm going to go check to make sure this is there and make sure that's done, right? Just integration. Yeah. Any other questions? Okay.
Okay, let's just summarize quickly. Let me go back here. I think we go to number 2. Perfect. Okay, so what did we see? So we saw a skill belt designed to build Tableau skill. It is enabled to recognize the achievement, so you're recognizing it both for yourself as an individual participant, as well as your peers. And from a leadership perspective, you really get a good overview through the organization of how people are advancing their learning. And it's measuring it. Right, so there's a lot of perhaps out there just sort of honor system type thing. In this application, you have the opportunity to challenge individuals with Q&A and vet out that they in fact comprehend before they move on. And then, so how, so what types of, I guess, editions or what types of groups do we align to here? There's 2, right? There's Tableau public groups, which we think has a great application. So your tugs, your nonprofits, et cetera. So it's a hosted platform within User Ready, bite-sized pieces of learning. It's rewarding achievement, identifying the leaders. We also have a enterprise edition, which essentially is the same learning format. The only difference here is that an organization may choose to apply, let's say, a single sign-on or something like that to make the experience a little bit more streamlined.
So you can play with this right now. So in the packages that you have, there is this book about User Ready, and at the back there is a next step. So when you look at skill belts or community portal, you can just scan that, you can go to that URL, sign up on your own. If you sign up, you're just going to the community portal, you can see how this actually behaves. And if you're interested in actually bringing it into your organization, give us a holler, we'd be happy to help you out, right? So in essence, what did we do? Yes, we all know skill belts, and we all know Blueprint, but what we're talking about is that proficiency area. That was our primary focus area. And the secondary focus was, how do you build a community around it, right? Just the secondary focus. Tableau Skill Belt has a whole set of things where we looked at merit badges, awards, and the leaderboard. We didn't look at the admin panel. We'll show you a demo in case you guys are interested. And of course, it's available in the community edition, or you can bring it in, right? So this talks about how you build proficiency in general, right? Yeah, and the question that one of the guys asked, right? How do you actually make sure there is a cultural change? Well, that's the next talk. Tomorrow, if you're interested, we've taken that and complemented the cultural side of data analysis inside a trading floor. This is where we've actually taken the culture and lifted it up from where it was to Excel only to how we have started playing around with Tableau and Tableau only. We'll show you what we've done there. Right? Welcome to join us there. I'll be there as a sidekick again. Right? So feel free to give us feedback, please. Please complete this session. We'd like to hear what went right, what we could have improved, and whether you liked it or not.
And real quick, we are in Data Village, so
Yes.
if you're interested, we're happy to sit down, talk with you guys. We can give you a one-on-one demo, or we can also help set up. You can sort of interact and play with it yourselves in there.
Yep.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.